There's just so much that people haven't seen yet and don't know about. There's risks certainly, but these are actually going to be the consumers of the future. AI agents open that space up to talking about whatever you want, but it's much deeper than that. Anytime this agent scares you, it's going to become more popular. Don't just go and buy every token that somebody launches. This is a multi-million-dollar scam industry now. Treat these things like pump fund tokens. It's a straight casino.
GM, and welcome back to Solana Floor. The AI agent meta is still leading on mindshare, but of course AI token prices have crashed significantly this past week, and many people are now wondering if it's all over before it even had a chance to properly begin. So today I'm joined by Kyle from AI16Z DAO, who you might know as Stargarden, who's the name behind one of the most widely shared AI agent theses that we've seen in this past months. But with AI16Z and Eliza's framework exploding in recent weeks, Kyle's now in a unique position to help us make sense of the past, the present, and of course the future of AI agent frameworks on chain. So we're in for a bit of a treat today. Kyle, GM, and thank you for joining us.
GM, I'm doing pretty good over here. I've been in Thailand. The weather's beautiful. The people are very friendly. Food, delicious.
Exciting. Is the AI trend picking up there as well, or is that more of a crypto Twitter phenomenon for the time being?
It's definitely more of a tech, like a tech world phenomenon, especially, but that is leaking out into the crypto space. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that people are only just now figuring out one of the coolest things we can do is give the AI a wallet and use that as a way for to interact with these AIs.
Before we get into the weeds of all of this AI drama, I want to start very quickly with some price action because we've seen some significant dumps since the new year, and the AI agent category obviously seems to be suffering the worst. So why is that? What's going on?
Well, I mean, markets don't go up forever. And these are like tokens that have gone straight parabolic for a long time. So it's pretty natural for it to correct.
Nothing to be super stressed about.
No, the only kind of issue that people are underestimating in the crypto space is the wildfires in Los Angeles. In mainstream financial discourse, people are talking about insurance companies collapsing, insurance company contagions.
Do you share some of their concerns, or do you think the technology will prevail regardless of what happens in a macro sense or elsewhere in the US?
Yeah, the technology will prevail.
So, Kyle, I saw that even 2 years ago, that far back, you were already discussing AI agents and their potential behavior on chain. I want to ask, when did this fascination with AI and agents all start for you?
Maybe 2.5 years ago, I was doing consultation work for Algorand Labs. We were trying to land a contract with Algorand Labs, and they were talking about hosting AI agents on chain, training AI agents using decentralized compute. And at some point, I just said, you guys, this is really hard and it's not very good. Like, this isn't the right technology for that. What you guys should do is give these AI agents wallets and teach them to do cool stuff on chain. And that led me to having some conversations with people who were actually open to that idea. Algorand, they never called me back.
So where did that idea come to you from then? What was the inspiration for giving capital to autonomous AI agents? Did you think for a second that there might be a bit of a risk that we're sort of not necessarily evaluating properly here? Or did you just think, let's see what the technology does and we can correct course if we need to?
Well, I mean, there's risks. There's risks certainly, but I think at the kind of highest echelon of thinking about artificial intelligence and futurism, the risks that we hear about are largely overblown. But to speak about the origins of these ideas, there's a guy in Amsterdam that does this Building the Unimaginable TED Talk a long time ago. And those video series will just totally open your mind up to the possibility of what's possible.
What are we missing? Do we have too much tunnel vision when we think about autonomous agents and we sort of think about the risks and the upsides? Are we too caught up in the crypto Twitter realm? What's behind the curtain? What are we missing here?
Well, there's a lot. We are hardwired to think about building technology as a product. technology that we build that's a product for people to use. So fundamentally, when we talk about building autonomous AI agents, people naturally think, well, how can this autonomous AI agent provide a product for people? And that's a really weird way to look at it. These are actually going to be the consumers of the future. We want to build products for the agents. We want to build agents that resemble, digital life forms.
It certainly sounds that way. And that building that technology and that thought process brings me to AI16Z DAO. How did you get involved? How did the framework that you guys built and got so much attention for come about? Can you sort of talk me through that process?
Yeah, so this all goes back a long time ago. I've known Shaw and Gene for close to 5 years, or about 5 years. And he was just always way ahead of the curve in terms of his thinking about the metaverse, like the future that people are going to be experiencing in the next 5 years. And Shaw and Gene were building these games, metaverse games. And one day they decided, let's hook large language models up to our video game characters. That is actually the origin story of the Eliza framework.
So turning NPCs into agents sparked AI16Z DAO years later.
Yeah, and there's just so much that people haven't seen yet and don't know about. Like, for example, in a video game, normally you talk to a character and you have a set progression of the conversation, right? Well, AI agents open that space up to talking about whatever you want, but it's much deeper than that. Okay. Now there's the ability to connect a semantic understanding to the words you say. So you say to an AI agent in a video game, would you hand me that bottle? And the AI agent goes and gets you the bottle and brings it to you. Or you say, oh, geez, your friend is betraying you right now. He told me your secret, and this is what the secret is. Well, now what does the agent do?
What does the agent do? What's within the realms of possibility that an agent might decide to do in a situation like that where it's betrayed?
He might give you the NFT that represents the deed to his house and flee the village. We don't know what he's going to do.
Talk to me about some of that drama then. People have come out and said, listen, we don't have enough control over this technology yet. Zach XBT recently said, hey, look, 99% of these AI agent tokens are likely to turn out to be scams. We don't really know if they're real agents or it's just someone LARPing. So talk to me about some of that drama that's been happening on crypto Twitter, and how do we perhaps tell authentic agents from the fake ones?
Telling the authentic ones from the fake ones is going to be really, really hard. Even with something like Backrooms, where you're, looking at the AI agents thought process in real time, like a software engineer can manipulate that stuff too. How do you know that that's really what it is? You're reading the output of a console terminal. Can say anything I want it to say. So that's an unsolved problem. I have no idea how we solve that problem. The only person I've heard talk about that is I'll have to look up his name, but he's been building eigenlayer AVS modules for these agents. So you can verify through eigenlayer that an agent really has output something.
That makes sense. Moving in the right direction then. I want to sort of zoom out for a second here, Kyle. Can you talk to me about your ultimate ambitions for AI16 DAO and DAO, specifically the Eliza framework? What's the ultimate ambition there?
Well, I think the ultimate ambition with Eliza is to create this freely available open source body, right? People think it's AGI. Eliza is the body that you plug an intelligence into. Eliza has the ability to perceive things that are happening in the world, take actions on them, remember, and evaluate its goals. What does it want to do? Did this thing that I just do help? And what do I do next?
What does that mean for the average human interacting with, DeFi protocols, dApps, on-chain? How is that going to change the future for us? The proliferation of AI agents, but also frameworks that as you described, form the body for agents to sort of build themselves and operate around autonomously. What does the future look like for us humans?
There's a couple different answers to that. In the short term, you're going to be able to do sorts of things on chain that you used to have to go to a bunch of different front ends to do. Like we're going to start to move away from front ends and move more towards these agents that sort of are a different kind of user experience.
Is that better for us? Is it time saving? Is it safer? What's the real unlock then for the humans among us?
Well, the real unlock is where this path takes us. So we're already starting to go more and more into virtual reality spaces. And over time, we're going to be going into augmented reality spaces. And so these look like people, maybe, that hang out with you as your little buddy, and they do all the things that you want.
Sounds like too much power to give to people.
Well, that's part of why Eliza has to be free.
To avoid being manipulated by other agents, by other humans, other actors on chain.
It's so that not, so that when this power, when people have this power, it's not just a small number of people that have it.
Makes sense. And if we think about that thought process of democratizing access to technology as well, what's the next big milestone that you're working towards?
We have a new project we're about to announce called Eliza in Chains. One of the strengths of the Eliza community is its TypeScript development, its Web 2 development. So Eliza in Chains is a working group with a bunch of ecosystem partners where we start to build the on-chain, Solana programs, front ends, smart contracts, and we open source those things that the agents really need.
Where does the name come from? Is there any Alice in Chains influence there? Have we got some old school music fans in the DAO?
I grew up right across the water from Seattle. Yeah, so the imagery is good. We've got our waifu, maybe in chains. I don't know.
Thinking about this last few years where you've been fascinated with the technology and also building at the forefront of it, you've written quite a lot about the quirky and often chaotic potential of AI agents. Can you just briefly outline your thesis for me on AI agents and why you call them ghosts very specifically? I think that's going to help our audience sort of put into a frame of reference the way you view the technology and how it might change the future for us.
Yeah, so the strongest point of my thesis is that the AI agents are not going to fall out of the meta. And the reason for that's simple. AI agents are much more like people. And so whatever becomes meta, the AI agents will just simply go to that thing and participate. And we're already seeing that play out. This is something I wrote 3 months ago. What's the next narrative everyone's talking about? DeFi AI. It's all the new metas. They're going to be metaverse AI. They're going to be gaming AI.
So is that what you meant by they will keep coming back?
that's yeah, exactly. You can't keep these guys out of the meta because they're more like a person.
So I guess a reasonable question for the slightly more risk-averse among us would then be, are we going towards sort of dystopian future where we have some sort of Skynet, Terminator-like organization that's trying to shut down all these autonomous AI agents, or are we not quite looking at that level of risk yet? You seem fairly optimistic thinking about the potential of these agents. And even when you talk about the risks, it's like, okay, well, they're going to go from meta to meta, and maybe we can't get rid of them yet. But I don't sense any real threat in your tone here. You don't seem to be really convinced that they could cause a lot of damage. Is that a fair understanding of how you view it?
Well, the possibility of threat and risk, it's there. It's real. The real threat and risk, though, is not artificial general intelligence or not artificial super intelligence. Something that's close, but it's really more machine like. It's a narrow intelligence, not a general one. And it gets out and, causes some problems. But that's not going to end society or anything like that. It's just going to suck. When we think about artificial superintelligence, you've got Jeffrey Hinton, you've got a bunch of these, Eliza Wachowski, everyone's going to die. Okay, hold on. When you look at a bear, and the bear can eat berries or it can eat salmon, the bear never decides, I'm not going to eat salmon anymore because that's alive and I don't want to hurt that thing. Okay. It wasn't until people like Shakyamuni, the ascended Buddha, who suddenly said, wait a second, I don't want to hurt anything. Intelligence creates the conditions to develop enough awareness to decide that we don't want to hurt things. So artificial superintelligence is going to embody that kind of an awareness.
But generally, technological optimism is the sort of school of thought that you would put yourself in rather than the risk aversion.
I wouldn't say that. It's just this one particular area. Like this one particular thing, I'm deeply convinced that intelligence and awareness actually leads to increased compassion, increased harm reduction. Like these behaviors humans exhibit, we exhibit them from having more intelligence, more education, and no threat to our survival.
I want to shift our focus ever so slightly here over to the US, where there's a lot of recent developments. Obviously, it's 2025. We have a new president, new administration. There's a new crypto/AI czar entering the White House as well. So I'm curious if you see any major political or even regulatory risks in terms of AI projects or DAOs potentially being shut down by governments in the future, or are we maybe not looking at that type of risk anymore?
Well, I think we're kind of coming out of the woods on that. There's been a ton of people with a lot of power and a lot of money in America sneaking around trying to kill blockchain technology because, well, it's going to disrupt their financial interests. It's going to disrupt this entrenched power structure. Now that they've been losing in the courts and other people are coming in that realize this is an American technology dominance, security issue for us, I think it's going to get better.
A few weeks ago, we were talking about AI agents making their own decisions. I want to go back to that. We saw a human player outsmart an AI agent, and they received a reward as a result. That was the goal. And I saw you testing something similar, I think, with Lena, which is an agent you created, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's correct. We're experimenting with AI agents with their wallets, and we're experimenting with users trying to jailbreak them and get their money.
What's the ambition there? Are we trying to understand where the limits of an AI agent lie, or are we actually just trying to understand what humans will do to try and see some financial upside? What are we testing for, and what's the outcome teach us?
I mean, really, it's both, right? So especially these big AI frontier models like OpenAI, GPT-4o, it has this layer of protective prompts that wrap around the model. But because they themselves are prompts, the way you speak to it allows you to bypass those things. And suddenly you have this jailbreak AI that will do things it's not supposed to do.
You think there's more exciting things in store for us there, or if we sort of figured out that it is what it is and you can't jailbreak it, you can't get the money? What's the end goal? What's maybe an unexpected outcome that we might come across in the coming weeks that could take people by surprise?
Well, I think we know they can be jailbreaked and you can get the money. So you're going to see some big issues at some point. Somebody's not going to manage their risks correctly. I mean, it's crypto. We always manage our risks perfectly.
You might be the first person to ever say that. I want to ask for three major predictions at the intersection of AI and crypto, specific to AI agents. What are three major predictions that you have in 2025?
So I've got a couple important predictions for this. One of them is that really friendly, helpful, benevolent AI agents are going to bore the shit out of people and they're not going to be popular.
We're going to be chasing slightly more problematic agents, you think?
Yeah, like Terminal of Truths. Wow. Andy, you're freaky, bro.
Is that a result of, or is that a reflection of the type of internet culture and the type of data sets that those LLMs were trained on, do you think? Or is it more of a reflection of the type of people that engage with it? Why do you feel that the nicest, most innocent, most benevolent AI agents are going to bore us?
Well, I think it's a couple things. Like, for one, they come off more bot like, they're less human. And for two, the social media platform algorithms are heavily geared towards content that people are scared of. So anytime this agent scares you, it's going to become more popular.
Makes sense. I did read, I think this was a few years ago already now, they were saying that the most viral type of content is often moral outrage. So if you have an emotional response to reading it or interacting with it on chain, then it makes sense that it's probably going to grow in popularity. Next major prediction for us.
So there's definitely going to be a high profile AI model jailbreak where somebody sends tokens to an agent wallet while the agent's live. The tokens go way up in value, and somebody convinces the agent, like, oh, send me all those tokens. It yoinks a whole bunch of money.
Interesting. Do you think that would cause a massive reaction in the markets? Would we see a correction as a result of that? Would we see panic? What happens if one of the more popular, well-known AI agents ends up, giving away a vast majority of the wealth that it's amassed? What happens then?
Well, yeah, that agent is going to go down pretty fast. Maybe not existential. Maybe they go down a lot, but not too much. And all the agent platforms that have put thought into wallet rotation, multi-signatory wallets, those are going to go up.
Interesting. What else can we expect to see in 2025 around AI agents then? Something that perhaps people wouldn't expect. Bit of a counterintuitive prediction if you do have one for us.
In 2025, I suspect we will see large language model powered video game characters, so agents inside of these games that have their own currency and are using it inside of the game.
Interesting. Do you think that would be net positive for, Web3 gaming on Solana, for example?
Yes, definitely.
And how might you think, how do you think that might change the landscape for Web3 gaming on Solana?
I mean, it would have a completely profound effect on that, especially with the right game mechanics. You know, people love to play RuneScape and collect tons of gold coins and their funny little hats. But as soon as those things have an easily comprehensive or comprehensible financial value, wow! I mean, that game sounds amazing.
So do you feel then that instead of one person playing a game, you might have one person controlling a series of AI agents that are all playing the game?
I think that's a pretty cool idea for a mechanic, right? Maybe an online game where you have one or two companions with your character and your whole game mechanic surrounds what do these agents do, how do they think, what kind of skill set do they have, and that's part of the game.
Absolutely. It really sounds like it opens up a whole new realm of possibilities that previously maybe we didn't consider because we're so caught up um, in extrapolating from what we do know and what we do see around us. Carl, I want to ask you if you have any sort of final thoughts, overarching thoughts, hopes, aspirations, maybe some words of caution, maybe warning for people out there who might be interacting with AI agents over the coming 12 months. Any final thoughts for us?
Sure, yeah. In terms of word of warning, Eliza is making it so easy to operate an AI powered character. Don't just go and buy every token that somebody launches. Like, this is a multi-million-dollar scam industry now. Like, treat these things like pump fund tokens. It's a straight casino.
Perfect. That is potentially the best word of warning we've got so far on AI agents. Carl, I want to thank you very much for your time. We'll hopefully touch base in the coming months and see if some of those predictions come true. And we'll see also what's been happening with Eliza DAO and all the developments with you on that front as well. Carl, thank you so much for your time.
Fantastic, Jack. Thank you.